Hey everyone, in this video, I'll show you how you can spin up an Aztec node using Sedge. It's a pretty straightforward process. We'll have a working node in about 5 minutes or so. For those who don't know, Aztec is a privacy-focused layer 2 solution on Ethereum. And today we are going to run an Aztec full node using Sedge. Sedge is a CLI tool from Nethermind that handles all the Docker setup for you, which makes your life easier when it comes to node deployments. So let's get started. So as you can see, I have Sedge docs open here, and this is what we'll be following along the video today. And I also have my terminal on the side so you can see everything that I do as we go. All right. Before we start, we need a couple of things to be installed in the system. First is Docker and the second is Docker Compose. So let me check if I have these two things installed on the system or not. So we have Docker installed. We have to also check for Docker Compose. We have that installed as well. Just in case if you don't have Docker installed on your system, just visit the official website and you can download it from there. It has everything that you need. The next step for us would be to get our public IP address, because this is for the peer-to-peer networking so that other nodes can find the node that we are running on this machine. So let me grab that by typing this command, curl if config.me. Okay, there we go. This is my public IP. I need to copy this down because we'll need it in a second for running some commands using Sedge. And I also want to mention that we'll need some RPC endpoints for Ethereum Sepolia and Beacon Chain. And for this tutorial, I'm using Alchemy. And for this, we need to have the Sepolia RPC URL. You can copy this and paste it somewhere for now. And then we also need it for Sepolia Beacon. And you need to copy this RPC URL and you're good to go. Then coming back to the documentation of Sedge, we now have to install Sedge on our system. Now let's get Sedge installed on the machine. Since I am on macOS, I'll be using Homebrew. First, we need to tap the Nethermind repo and then install Sedge. I have the command already copied with me. I'll paste it here. What you can see is that first we are tapping the Nethermind ETH Sedge repo and then we are installing Sedge. So let me press enter. All right. As you can see, we already have Sedge installed on my system. And we are on the version 1.11.1. So just in case if you don't have macOS and you are on Linux or Windows, you can download the binary files from the GitHub releases. I'll put the link in the description. Now, here's where the magic actually happens. One command that you can see here in the Sedge documentation is what you need to run your full node for Aztec. I already have a version of this command ready with me, which is using my IP address, which we got here, 49.204. The same thing is mentioned here in the command. And these RPC URLs that we got from Alchemy. What I can tell you now is that we are mentioning in the network flag that we want to pull the Sepolia network. And then the P2P IP is that public address that we grabbed earlier. And then we have the two Alchemy RPC URLs, one for the execution one and one for the consensus. Let's run it now. Nice. So Sedge just created a Docker Compose file and all the configs we need. It automatically picked the right Aztec image version, that is 3.0.1 for testnet, as you can see here. Now, time for us to start this up by the command sedge run. As you can see, we are pulling the Docker image now. First time, it takes a little bit of time or so, and now let's check if it's actually running. Now we need to run the Docker command, docker ps -- filter with the name Sedge. There it is, Sedge Aztec. Status is up. We are in business, guys. So we need to give it a couple of minutes to sync up. The nice thing is that it downloads a snapshot instead of syncing from the Genesis. So it's pretty quick, but we have to give it some time, like say for 5 minutes or so. So it has been some time since we started the Docker container. What we can do now is that we can query the node directly to see if it's running or not. There we go. You can see that we have the latest block as 69965, the proven block until 69930, and the finalized block up until 69866, and the hashes are also present here. Now, the main important feature about Sedge is that Sedge comes with a monitoring stack with itself, which basically means that we can have dashboards set up very easily using just one command for the node that we are running right now. And for that, we have to type Sedge monitoring init Aztec. Okay. So what this does is that it will set up Prometheus and Grafana for us on 9090 and 3000 port respectively. So we have to give it some time for it to set up, and then we can go to localhost 9090 to see Prometheus if everything is present here or not. So as you can see on the port 9090, we have Prometheus set up, and respectively on the port 3000, we have Grafana set up as well. You can see all the metrics that are coming inside Prometheus, and that can also be shown as dashboards on Grafana that you can find on port 3000 as well. There is also an optional way for us to run an Aztec sequencer with Sedge as well. The only thing that you have to keep in mind while running the sequencer is that you have to meet the requirements that are mentioned on the Aztec documentation as to how much minimum amount of tokens that you have to stake to be a sequencer and things like that. So that is something which we'll not go deep inside today. And that's it. You have an Aztec full node running on your system. And if we do a quick recap as to what we did in this video, is that we set up the prerequisites for running Sedge. We then installed Sedge, and then we ran one command using Sedge CLI, which basically was using the IP you have for the system and the RPC URLs that you got from Alchemy. And then after giving it some time to settle down and sync, we did a query to that particular node to see as to what is the current status of that. We also set up a monitoring stack for the particular node using Sedge monitoring init command, which gave us Prometheus and Grafana dashboards. And that's it. The total time that all this took was, I believe, less than under 5 minutes. And all the links that I told in this video would be in the description. Drop a comment if you have any doubts regarding anything in the tutorial. And yeah, thanks for watching.